Hey Libra, and welcome to your monthly tarot reading. So this is a collective reading for Sun or Rising Libras. So I know that I've been incorporating more astrology into these videos recently. However, I was on a trip at the end of this last month and just got home and catching up and haven't really had time to look at the astrology to the degree that I would like for clarity to lay things out. So I'm creating a separate video. I'm shooting for that to be out on June 1st. So just keep an eye out. How funny. I love when that happens. We're doing Libra and there's your card. Libra is Libra. So we are taking a look at the beginning, middle, and end of the month and any kind of challenges that are coming up and spiritual advice along the way as well. So I will also, there's a bunch of videos coming out at the beginning of this particular month because just like a few days into the beginning of the month, we have the full moon. So I do full moon to new moon readings as well for all of the signs. So those will be out. So there will be a bunch of videos out. You want to make sure that you're up on that. So we have the beginning. Interesting. Okay. Middle. Oh, interesting. And end of the month. Okay. And I feel like I want to use a different deck for the challenge card. So let's take a look at what we've got coming up for, I'm feeling this card actually right here. It's a challenge card. Okay, Libras. We got dreams, don't we? Yeah, we do. Okay. And for your spiritual advice, that one was really pumping out. So let's get these, make sure that they're all in frame. Okay, Libra. So talking about so we're using this particular card. It's an astrological deck, and it's just to help us focus in on this reading, what themes are we looking at, or what areas of life would this be all pointing towards, to just help you kind of figure out where is this applicable in your life. So it's been helpful. I've gotten feedback about that, so we're gonna keep going with it. So we have Libra as Libra. And what do we have? Yes, Libra definitely does have to do with balance, but Libra's also relational, and I don't necessarily, when I say relationship, I'm not necessarily talking about I'm not necessarily talking about the romantic relationships, but just the harmony between our relationships that we have in life, our interpersonal connections. It's very artistic too. Libra's definitely, I would connect to beauty in the arts. It's ruled by Venus. So, definitely has those Venusian qualities, but yeah, wanting to be about harmony and balance and, connection and, relatability, and so I feel like you are tapping into either certain connections or community, and trying to kind of tap into those things in a harmonious way, or maybe this has to do with your creative endeavors, specifically, so take all of that. I know that this is not as specific as we're looking at your money or we're looking at your love life, right? But it does help with kind of focusing on okay, here's the themes that are up, right? This is the theme that's up for this month, right? So let's take a look at the beginning of the month. We start out with the Five of Swords, then we move into the Two of Swords, and we have the Ace of Swords. Lots of mental energy / possible communication going on here, right? There's just a lot of that going on, right? We think of the air suit when we're talking about swords, and so it's just boom, swords, swords, swords all through the month. I feel like there's a lot of active mental energy, a lot of maybe even communication that's coming up as a part of this. Communication can look a lot of different ways. Let's keep in mind that communication can be writing. It can also be your voice that you're speaking, but it can also be the thoughts that you have in your head. It can be communicating with one person or many people, a community, right? So these are things to look at. Just want to keep that in mind so that we don't narrow it down too much, so that what it's can be applied to. So start out with the beginning of the month, and I feel like there is some kind of being at odds with, some kind of competitiveness, some kind of confrontation, or it could be competition, but I feel like sometimes that's more Five of Wands, not necessarily Five of Swords. Five of Swords feels just that kind of being at odds with having conflict with other people in a way that doesn't really feel so great, right? Where either it's like all or nothing, win or lose, right? So like winner takes all. Whereas like you could be the person in the position where you feel like other people are being unfair in the way that they approach this particular conflict or this competition or, you know, whatever this is, and that they are doing things to like win at any cost in such a way that feels unfair to you, and that feels like they're just like taking, you know, they're taking it all. And so therefore you could be in that position, but it can also be that you're in a position, and I really like to mention both sides of this because especially this is a collective reading, and I like to give you guys as much as I can so that you can really see what's applicable and what feels most resonant for you. The other side of this can be being the person who is having the mindset of winner takes all. Who gives a damn about win-win? I will bulldoze over anybody that I have to. I will not use integrity. I'll do whatever. I'll use whatever I have to, whatever means I have to win this thing, whatever this is. Argument, conversation, something to do with a project, something to do with like other people, community, like whatever it is. Like I will win at any cost, and consequences be damned. Right? And it's like the thing about the Five of Swords that really comes in as a warning with this card is like, be careful when you do that, you know, be careful when you, how sharp you are with your words or your tactics, how much integrity or out of integrity they are, because it's like, when you win at any cost, it's like, okay, great, you won, but at what cost now? Now it cost you maybe your reputation or like your place in the community or, you know, how people see you in terms of being like a good person, or you burn bridges, lose connections, right? Things like that. So you just want to be aware of that, right? I'm giving you both sides of this so you can really see like what that's about. The Two of Swords we have in the middle of the month is like you really coming to a place of like needing to really use more than just your mind and your logic to make some decisions. Like you might be trying to decide between a this or that situation. Again, because of what we're relating this to, this could be a this or that with when it comes to a somebody, right? This could also be a this or that when it comes to like a project or a path that you're trying to take. And it's worthy, you know, it's worth looking at like how balanced this is. I really love how the Two of Swords is coming in, and it's like, it almost like it mimics the scales that are here, right? Let me put that in frame. So, right? The Two of Swords kind of mimics the scale that we're looking at, right? So, you know, the thing about the Two of Swords is notice that she's blindfolded, right? She's surrounded by water in the background. There's the moon. This is a really watery card, right? We have emotion and intuition, the night, which can often be about like really tapping into your intuition. When you're, you know, blindfolded, you have to depend on your other senses to be heightened in order to be able to sense things clearly, right? So this decision is not really coming just from your logic and your mental state. This is really coming from you being able to tap into your inner knowing and your intuition, settling yourself and getting like peaceful and quiet enough to get clarity, right? Like when you can create the spaciousness and the quiet, right? To hear your intuition speak, to hear yourself, to get beyond the rapid thoughts of the mind or the logic coming in and the constant strategy or planning or whatever it is. And you are able to just be in that moment, right? And a lot of us, I think, can relate to this. We've had this at some point or another in our life, right? Where it's like you drop in, and when all of the noise is gone, it's like you can hear yourself clearly, and there's enough spaciousness for the messages to really come through, for you to hear your intuition or to hear the messages that are, I don't know, from whatever you believe in, your universe or guides or angels or whatever it is, right, to come through. So I think that the middle third of the month, there is this kind of, you know, call for you to do this, for you to drop into this space. Now, again, like this can be about a lot of different things. It can be about like relationally how you are with yourself and another person or several people or a community, right? So this can also be in the workplace. This could be about that space too. So, you know, just make sure that you take that and apply it how it makes the most sense for you. Again, if you want like a specific reading, I always suggest one-to-one readings. So And then we come into the end of the month and we have the Ace of Swords. I had to look at it to make sure it was, because it doesn't look like your typical Ace of Swords. I love this deck, but it really just does not have most of the traditional stuff from the Rider-Waite, from the tarot decks. But the Ace of Swords really is about getting this kind of clarity, right, that I was just talking about. So, and I feel like with any of the aces, there is this kind of assist that you're getting from, again, the universe, your guides, deities, whatever it is that you believe in. And like, you're getting this assist to get clarity. But it's in these kinds of moments where we do this, what I was just talking about, that you're able to get centered enough to move beyond all of the like chaos and the cloudiness, and to really find a space of clarity. Now, normally in this particular card, what I like about the imagery is that you see a sword that is pointing directly straight up through, like above the clouds and through a crown, meaning through that crown chakra, right? That crown place. And being able to be connected to our upper cosmic, whatever, again, that you believe in, wisdom, and having that kind of wisdom be drawn down. It's like as above, so below, and also being able to have that clarity for ourselves. So there's like this kind of clear path, this clear and open line of communication, we could say, between ourselves and our higher selves, or the, cosmic consciousness, again, whatever it is that you believe in. And so there is this clarity that comes in. So I feel like it's a process, right, that you're going through this month. Whatever this is that I think you're dealing with, I think there's a lot riding on it, because we have the 10 of Cups as your challenge, right? And the 10 of Cups is generally like a really beautiful and positive and optimistic and, kind of card, like the card of dreams, essentially. It's like everything you've ever wanted. So I feel like there is this, feeling like the challenge is feeling like you're not going to get to have it, or like it's slipping away, or like you're resting everything on like, this is the only way that I'm going to be able to like make my dreams come true, to like get the dream, whatever it may be. And like everything rides on this. And, it's like sometimes in life, I think we need that motivation, but I think a good amount of the time in life, that can trap us into these places that, are not serving us, right? Like, we can't put everything, I think, sometimes in so much to where it's like, it's almost out of this desperation that we hang on to this like idealistic dream that we have. I'm not saying don't shoot for it. I'm not saying you won't get it. I am saying, though, that like this coming up in a challenge position, I think, is just like, oh, it feels like everything's riding on this. And maybe you want to take a look at like easing up on that a little bit. Again, not to say you can't or won't have it, but just to ease up on that, right? I just realized that I don't have my phone on Do Not Disturb. There we go. I just don't want any notifications coming through. So then we move into your spiritual advice, and we have the Hermit card. Now this I'm not surprised by, especially because we were just talking about this, and I feel like we were like carrying this over here. The Hermit card really asks you to go inside and, like embrace some solitary time, with yourself. I'm not saying you need to literally become a hermit, shut everyone out, and become a recluse. Although sometimes that might be necessary in life if you're really so distracted. But I think this just means like really carving out time to be with yourself without distraction, without the like TV on in the background, and without the music on in the background, without like all the different things, without the, all of the busyness that we busy up our lives with, but to make time to ask yourself the big picture questions, right? Like normally we see the hermit two ways, actually, is like generally at the top of like this, mountain and in the dark with a lantern that is, lighting up the way. And that lantern, that light, is the internal light of our own consciousness and our own, like letting ourselves be our guide. But in order to let ourselves be our guide, we have to ask ourselves those big picture questions. Like, what is it that I truly want now? What do I want to build now? Like not what was the dream like 2, 5, 10 years ago, right? Like, is that dream even still resonant with what you want now, with what you want to create now, with the life that you want to go towards now? Like it's, and if this is about relationships, same thing. It's like, who do I want to be with? Like, what are my non-negotiables now? Like, what do I even like anymore? Like, I normally go for these kinds of people, but is that even like who I still feel attracted to anymore? I don't even know, just doing a full check of all the systems internally and asking yourself those really big picture questions. And they seem really simple and they seem like they can be answered and passed off really quickly, but I would encourage you to really sit with it. I think that it'll bring you the clarity that you need and the stability and groundedness to move forward in a clear and powerful way. I think when we can get very clear on like, yes, I have periodically taken that time, right? And like, I've just recently taken time to ask myself these big picture questions and what is still resonant with me and what isn't. There's a sense of, you may not know what comes next exactly, but you know the direction that you're headed in feels like, yes, this is the grounded step for me. This is what I'm moving towards and this is why. And I feel very strongly like this is the path for now, right? Until that next point of questioning or till that next pivot in life. So I really like the spiritual advice, although I know it's not everyone's spiritual advice to drop in like that. I really wish more of us did, honestly. I think the world would be a different place. So I hope that this was helpful. If it was, please consider giving the video a like. It really helps me as I'm building this channel. For those of you who have liked and subscribed recently, thank you so much. And if you haven't, please hit the notification bell and subscribe. I have more videos coming out, not just for more tarot. I do bi-weekly-ish tarot readings, and then also I'm starting to put out more astrology, and that's going to start to ramp up, and I have other things on the horizon. So anyways, thank you for being here. I appreciate your time, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.